Stop, don't move, don't rush, because the moment before he enters you, that is the most powerful second you'll ever hold. And if you know what to do with it, he'll never forget you. Not in his body, not in his bones, and not in the darkest hours of his longing. This isn't about seduction. This is about energy, intention, and the kind of presence that shakes a man to his core. If you think physical intimacy is only about touch, you've missed the secret. Because what you do before the moment defines everything that happens after. This is how you awaken him. Before he even touches you, before a single movement begins, there is a space, a silent, electric pause that holds more power than anything that follows. And in that pause, your eyes are everything. Lock in with your gaze and don't flinch. Look into him, not just at him. Look beyond the surface, beyond his body, beyond the tension of the moment. Your eyes tell a story before your body ever does. And when you hold his gaze, really hold it, you're sending a message that's impossible to ignore. I am not afraid of intimacy. I am not afraid of truth. I am not afraid of you. It's in that unwavering look that a man feels something he rarely gets to feel, being seen. Men walk through the world wearing masks. They carry pressure, pride, desire, and doubt in their bones. They move through rooms trying to prove themselves, hide themselves, protect themselves. But when a woman locks eyes with him and doesn't look away, it rattles all of that. Because in that moment, there's no room for ego, no room for pretense, no script. Just the raw electric truth of being exposed and still chosen. Your eyes become a mirror and he sees himself differently through you. Not just as a man who wants, but as a man who matters. You're not staring for control. You're holding space. Space where both of you can stop pretending. Space where he's not just entering your body, but entering your presence, your energy, your essence. And your eyes say, this is not performance, this is not a transaction, this is a sacred exchange, and I am fully aware of what I'm letting in. That awareness, that consciousness is what grips him. It's not about being seductive in a textbook way. It's not about fluttering lashes or perfect angles. It's about being utterly real and refusing to hide. Even if your heart is pounding, even if desire is raging like fire under your skin, don't drop your eyes. Because when you hold that gaze, you claim the moment. You tell him without a word, you may be the one moving, but I'm the one guiding the depth. You shift the power silently. And the beauty of that is, it's not domination, it's not manipulation, it's sovereignty. It's the strength of a woman who is deeply in tune with her worth, her body, and her emotional clarity. When he sees that you are not flinching, not rushing, not seeking validation, it disarms him, it humbles him, it even haunts him in the most beautiful way. Because the world has taught men that sex is about conquest. But what happens when the one he's with doesn't need to be conquered? What happens when the one he's entering is already complete, already powerful, already aware of her value? That's when he trembles, not from nervousness, but from reverence, from awe, from the shock of being faced with something real. And it's important you understand that this is not about him alone. This is about you embodying the truth that you don't have to shrink. You don't have to look away. You don't have to feel small in this moment. You get to hold his gaze because you are worthy of being met fully, because your pleasure, your depth, your experience, it matters just as much. Your eye contact says, this is not about me being taken. This is about us choosing each other. And that shifts everything. Most people move through intimacy disconnected from themselves, from each other, from the meaning of the moment. But when you lock in with your eyes, when you let him see into you without fear, you are choosing connection over chaos. You are saying, I am here and I am not hiding. Can you meet me here? That question, unspoken, silent, heavy, hangs in the air. And when he answers with his own gaze, when he holds it and doesn't break away, something ancient awakens, something tender, something primal. So don't underestimate this simple act. Don't overlook it. It's not a glance. It's not a fleeting moment. It is the opening. It is the entrance into something deeper than skin, deeper than chemistry. You could be naked, vulnerable, open in every physical way, but if your eyes are guarded, if you're checked out, if you're mentally somewhere else, he'll feel it. But if your eyes are there, clear, open, fierce, he will feel it too, and he will never forget it. Let your eyes be the first place he enters. Let them speak the truth your body already knows, that this moment is sacred, that you are not afraid, and that you are fully present. And in doing so, you give him a gift he didn't even know he craved, being seen by a woman who sees herself first. That's the kind of look that shakes a man. That's the kind of look that makes him tremble before anything touches, before any rhythm begins between your bodies. There's your breath. And most people miss its power. They breathe out of habit, shallow, fast, unconscious, but not you. Not if you understand what that moment is really about. Because the way you breathe just before he enters you is not just a biological act. It's a signal. It's an energy. It's a declaration without words that says, I am here, I am calm, I am in control, not of him, but of myself. And that control is what sets the entire tone of what follows. Imagine this. He's right there. That moment is hanging by a thread, thick with anticipation, dripping with energy. He's looking to you for a cue, whether he realizes it or not. And when he feels your breath, slow, deep, deliberate, something in him changes. Because now he knows you're not just reacting, you're responding, you're present, you're anchored. And when a man senses that level of presence in a woman, it humbles him, it grounds him, it tells him this is not just another experience. This is a woman who knows her body, owns her space, and invites with intention. Breathing deeply in that moment doesn't mean you're passive, it means you're powerful. It means you're the center of the storm, not lost in it. A shallow breath signals uncertainty, fear, a need to escape. But a deep breath, a breath that starts in your belly and flows through your chest like a wave, that tells a different story. That breath says, I'm not waiting to be taken. I am inviting what I desire, and I am doing it with clarity. When your breath slows, you slow time, you stretch the moment, you open the door to something deeper than just friction. Because let's be honest, anyone can have sex, anyone can move their body in rhythm, but not everyone can feel, not everyone can be emotionally naked. But your breath is the gateway to that vulnerability. It opens your nervous system, it opens your heart, and he feels it. Even if he doesn't understand it, he feels it. And here's the truth, your breath leads him. Whether he knows it or not, his pace will start to mirror yours. If you rush, he rushes. If you hold your breath, he becomes more anxious. But if you breathe slowly, confidently, you give him permission to relax. You pull him into your rhythm. You don't just respond to the moment, you shape it. Your breath becomes a kind of music, and his body learns to dance to your frequency. And there's something deeply feminine about that. Not in a soft, delicate way, but in the way the ocean is feminine. Wild, wise, commanding. When you breathe like you're in control of the storm, you become the storm. You become the force that draws him in, not with chaos, but with gravity. And he surrenders to it, not out of weakness, but because he wants to be pulled into that kind of presence. And maybe he's never experienced that before. Maybe he's only known intimacy that was fast, surface level, disconnected. But with you, in that moment, when your breath is full and your presence is total, he feels something different. He feels invited into something human, something sacred, something that isn't about performance, but about depth, about truth, about being witnessed and witnessing back. Breathing like you're in control doesn't mean faking calm. It means returning to your center, even if your heart is racing. It means letting go of the pressure to perform and instead feeling your way into the moment. Inhale through your nose. Let the breath expand your ribs. Let it drop your shoulders. Let it soften your face. Exhale like you're exhaling shame, fear, judgment, and expectation. Let the breath become a ritual, a way of saying, I'm not shrinking, I'm not rushing, I'm not losing myself, I'm here. And he'll feel that. He'll feel that he's not just entering your body, he's entering a space you've prepared with full awareness. And that changes everything. Because when a woman leads with breath, she leads with intention. She creates safety, not just for him, but for herself. She allows the moment to be what it was always meant to be, sacred, not mechanical, alive, not routine. So don't underestimate your breath. Don't ignore it. Use it. Own it. Let it steady you, guide you, open you. Breathe like the storm is yours, like the thunder answers to you. And when he moves toward you, into you, through you, he won't just feel skin. He'll feel soul. He'll feel depth. He'll feel a kind of power he didn't know he was starving for, all because you breathed like the woman you truly are, fully present, fully grounded, and fully alive. The moment before he enters you isn't just about anticipation, it's about communication on a level most people never reach. This isn't the time for empty words or recycled lines, it's the time for truth. And in that truth, your voice becomes something more than sound. It becomes a bridge between your body and his heart. When you whisper something in that moment, it shouldn't just be sexy. It should be soulful. Because while his body might crave the physical, his spirit is listening too, whether he knows it or not. Don't speak to arouse, speak to awaken. There's a vast difference between words that turn him on and words that turn him inward. A moan can be powerful, yes, but a well-placed whisper spoken from the deepest part of your being can stop time. In that soft tone, with your breath close to his ear, you carry something ancient, something sacred, something unforgettable. It could be a sentence, a truth, a desire, a statement that only you could say because it comes from your knowing. Think about it. Most people enter intimacy with tension, with performance, with noise in their heads. But when you speak with intention, when you choose words that carry meaning, you pierce through that noise. You reach the part of him that wants to be seen, not just touched. You bypass the ego and go straight to the soul. And that's a form of power so few women ever realize they hold. You might say something like, I've never felt this safe before, or take your time. I want to feel all of you, or even simply, you don't have to be anyone else right now. It doesn't have to be poetic. It has to be true, something real, something rooted in the present moment. Because the second he hears your voice carry truth instead of performance, he snaps into presence. He stops trying to perform. He stops being in his head. He becomes there with you in a way he may not have experienced before. And Don't underestimate what that does to a man. Don't underestimate what it does to you. That whisper isn't just for him. It's for you too. It's a declaration of how you're showing up. It's your way of saying, this isn't just sex. This is an opening. This is me letting my truth be heard. And when a woman whispers her truth in a moment that the world has trained her to be silent in, something breaks open. Both of you stop playing a role. You stop doing what's expected. You create a new rhythm, one that is emotional, spiritual, embodied, and that rhythm becomes the foundation for what comes next. Your whisper sets the tone. This isn't just about getting off. This is about getting close. It's intimacy, not just intercourse. It's connection, not just climax. And here's the beautiful irony. The more soulful your whisper, the more erotic it becomes. Because nothing is more arousing than feeling seen. Nothing is more seductive than honesty, vulnerability, presence. That whisper spoken right before the threshold becomes a portal. He doesn't just hear it in his ears, he feels it in his chest. It lingers, it echoes. Long after the moment ends, those words replay in his mind over and over. Not because they were dirty, but because they were real. So take a breath, get grounded, find the part of you that knows what you truly want to say, not what sounds good, not what you think he wants to hear, but what your soul needs to release in that moment. Say it softly, close to his ear, or even against his lips. Let it be your offering, your spell, your truth. Because when you whisper something that's not just sexy but soulful, you don't just seduce his body, you invite his heart. You call forth his depth. And that, more than anything, is what makes a man tremble. Not just because you turned him on, but because you turned him, the real him, on. You brought him home. And in a world full of noise, that kind of whisper becomes unforgettable. Right before he enters you, your touch holds more meaning than anything else in the world. And while every instinct, every beat of arousal might tell you to reach for his body, his chest, his hips, the heat of him, there's a kind of power in resisting that urge. There's a deeper language in touching something most people overlook, his face. Yes, his face, the place where the boy he used to be and the man he's trying to become both live. The place where vulnerability hides behind masculinity and where emotion often gets buried under performance. When you reach for his face in that moment, instead of his body, you're not just touching skin, you're touching identity. It's one of the most humanizing things you can do in a moment when passion is surging, when desire is peaking, when everything is about to blur into sensation. Your hand on his face brings him into presence. It slows everything down in the most sacred way. It tells him, I'm not here to just use you for my pleasure, and I'm not offering myself to be used either. I'm here to connect all of you, every part, and what you say with your fingers without needing a single word is more intimate than anything else could be. It's a form of reverence, a gentle reverence that says, I see you. Men are not often touched this way. They're touched with urgency, with hunger, sometimes with expectation, but rarely with gentleness that honors their humanity. Most men carry emotional weight on their faces, unspoken struggles in their eyes, silent tension in their jaw, effort hidden behind stoicism. When you place your hand there, cupping his cheek, brushing your thumb over his lips, tracing the outline of his brow, you're entering a space few are ever invited into. It disarms him, not in weakness, but in relief. Because in that moment, you're not just offering your body, you're offering something greater, acceptance. He may be surprised. He may even freeze. not out of discomfort, but because something real just entered the room. It's no longer just about what happens between your legs. It's about what's happening between your souls. Your touch becomes a grounding force. It steadies the storm. It brings meaning to the madness of desire. And what he feels in that moment is unlike anything else. It's not just arousal. It's worth. It's belonging. Touching his face instead of his body tells him that you're not here to take something from him or to give him a show. You're here to meet him as a whole human being. You're telling him, I'm not afraid to be close to the parts of you that are most exposed, because his face is where he hides and reveals. It's where he lets you see emotion and where he tries to mask it. And when you reach for it with tenderness and certainty, it breaks through his walls. And it does something to you too. It slows you down. It opens your own heart. It reminds you that you're not performing, that you're not here to meet someone else's standard. You're here to experience something true. Your fingertips become sacred messengers. You're saying, I'm not here for shallow pleasure. I'm here to witness you. I'm here to share this moment, not just consume it. That difference, that shift in intention is everything. Even in the heat of the moment, even with your body aching for him, that single act, your hand on his face, turns the entire exchange into something higher, something elevated. You become not just a lover, but a mirror, reflecting back to him the parts of himself he rarely gets to feel proud of. You show him that he's not just a body or a tool for satisfaction, he's a man, and he is wanted in his entirety. And maybe he hasn't been touched like that in years, maybe he's never been, but he'll remember it. Long after the sex is over, long after the tension has passed, he'll remember your hand on his face, your stillness. So, touch his face, not to seduce, but to connect, not to tease, but to ground, not to lead him somewhere, but to bring him home. That is the kind of touch that changes the atmosphere, that breaks the pattern, that says, this moment matters. And in a world where so much intimacy is rushed, noisy, and empty, that quiet touch becomes thunder. It becomes unforgettable. It becomes the reason he trembles. Surrender. It's a word so often misunderstood, especially when it comes to intimacy. Too many believe it means weakness, submission, giving up control. But true surrender in the presence of a man you desire is not about becoming small. It's about becoming vast. It's about opening fully, body, mind, soul, while still holding the throne of your own power. And when you let him feel you surrender without losing that power, something ancient stirs in both of you, because in that moment you're not collapsing, you're choosing. And there's nothing more irresistible than a woman who chooses to open with strength. Right before he enters you, everything in the air is alive with tension. The moment is ripe with possibility. And how you show up in that moment, how you move, how you breathe, how you surrender, that sets the tone for what kind of connection this will be. If you tense up, shrink back, or perform out of fear of judgment, he feels that. He may not name it, but he senses it. He knows you're not fully there. But if instead you let go not of your power, but of your resistance, he feels something sacred. He feels the permission to stop performing too. He feels your trust. And that trust, that's what makes him tremble. You see, men aren't just moved by a woman's body, they're moved by the energy she brings to it. And when a woman lets go into herself, into her desire, into the fullness of the moment, without apology, it's electric. But here's the key. You're not giving your power to him. You're sharing it. You're saying, I am so whole, so grounded, so sure of my own worth, that I can open to you and still remain intact. That kind of surrender isn't weakness, it's divinity in motion. Letting go means allowing your body to soften, your breath to deepen, your mind to quiet. It means not worrying about how you look or whether you're doing it right or if you're pleasing Him. It means coming home to yourself so deeply that letting Him enter you feels like letting Him into a temple, not a performance stage. And what happens when a man enters a temple? He quiets, he reveres, he becomes present. That is the kind of space your surrender creates. And don't be mistaken, this isn't about being passive. Surrender is an active state. It's fierce. It requires awareness. It takes courage. It means being vulnerable on purpose. It means choosing to feel everything, not hiding from any of it. The pleasure, the fear, the intensity, the tenderness. You become like water, soft, fluid, powerful. And just like water, you can drown Him in that presence, not because you try to, but because your openness leaves Him no place to run, no place to hide. He has to meet you there. You'll fall apart trying. In that moment, when you surrender with power, your body says, I trust myself enough to let go. I don't need to control this. I don't need to win. I don't need to impress. And that energy liberates him. It invites him out of his performance, out of his ego, out of his patterns. You lead by releasing, not into submission, but into truth. You create a space where both of you can finally stop pretending and start feeling. This is where real intimacy begins, because it's not about dominance or submission. It's not about one leading while the other follows. It's about mutual transformation. It's about two powerful forces meeting at the edge of vulnerability and choosing not to run. And when you surrender with full presence, you give him something the world rarely does, the chance to lead without overpowering, to hold without conquering, to merge without control. Letting him feel you surrender in this way is a gift, but it's a gift you give only when you choose to. That's where your power lives, in the choice, not in the need, not in fear, not in dependency, but in the confidence that you can give fully and still remain whole, that you can melt without disappearing, that you can trust, not because he's perfect, but because you are grounded. And that moment, right before he enters you, becomes a kind of sacred initiation, a turning point, because he doesn't just feel a body open to him, he feels a woman invite him into her universe, not with conditions, not with walls, but with truth, with presence, with grace. And that kind of woman, that kind of surrender, it echoes inside a man forever. So don't hold back. Don't armor yourself with indifference or control. Let go, not to fall, but to rise within the moment. Let him feel you surrender without losing 1 inch of who you are. And he will not just tremble, he will remember forever. There is a moment, so brief, yet so powerful, that happens right before he enters you. And in that moment, time seems to bend. It's the edge of everything, the threshold between thought and feeling, hesitation and surrender, surface and soul. And what you do with that moment determines not just how the act feels, but what it means. If you want to make him tremble, truly tremble, there's one secret that changes everything. Be fully there. No past, no future. Just now, just you, him, your body, your breath, your soul, alive in this singular, sacred second. It sounds simple, but presence is one of the rarest gifts in the world, because most people aren't present even in their most intimate moments. They're haunted by the past, by wounds, by rejections, by shame, by memories of what went wrong or what was missing. Or they're projecting into the future worrying how they look, how they'll be remembered, whether they'll be loved after this moment ends. That mental noise disconnects them from what's real. It makes sex mechanical. It makes passion shallow. It turns what could be profound into something forgettable. But when you show up fully, with every cell of your being focused on what's happening now, something changes. The energy shifts, the connection deepens, the entire room feels different. To be fully there means dropping every role, every mask, every expectation. It means you're not performing. You're not thinking about what you've seen in movies or heard in songs or read in articles. You're not trying to recreate a fantasy. You're creating a reality, your reality, one rooted in sensation, in emotion, in instinct. You're allowing your body to feel not what it should feel, not what it's supposed to feel, but what it actually feels. And that kind of honesty is magnetic. It pulls him in with a force stronger than seduction, because a present woman isn't just desirable, she's unforgettable. Presence looks like this: your breath deep and connected, your mind quiet, your touch intentional, your eyes soft but unflinching. You're not racing toward the next moment. You're not waiting for the climax. You're not measuring the experience. You're immersed in it. You're inside it. And that immersion changes the way your body responds. It amplifies your sensitivity. It sharpens your awareness. Every sigh, every shift, every pulse of desire becomes electric because it's real. You're not watching it happen. You're living it. And here's what most people miss. Men can feel that. He may not be able to explain it in words, but his body knows when you're with him and when you're somewhere else. He knows when your body is open, but your mind is closed. He knows when you're performing, when you're disconnected, when you're lost in anxiety or memory. But when you bring yourself fully into the room, when your energy locks in and says, I'm here, completely, he feels it in a way that burns into his bone. It's not just erotic, it's sacred. This presence is not about perfection. It's not about having the perfect thoughts or the perfect emotions. It's about truth. If you feel nervous, feel it. If you feel tender, let it show. If you feel wild, don't hold back. Presence is about honoring whatever is real in that moment without editing it for approval. That authenticity is what builds real intimacy, because it tells him, you're not just here for the act, you're here for the connection, for the aliveness. And that makes him feel chosen, not for what he's doing, but for who he is. There is no greater power than a woman who is fully present in her body. Not perfect, present, not pretending, awake. She knows her body is not a tool, it's a temple. She knows her energy isn't a performance, it's a force. She doesn't need to control the outcome because she trusts the moment. She lets the moment be enough. And that freedom from past pain, future fear, external pressure, that freedom is contagious. It gives the man permission to be present too, to let go of proving, of performing, of pretending, to meet you in the here and now. And in that space, something else is born, something deeper than pleasure, something more lasting than climax. It's connection, it's imprint, it's that feeling of, I was seen, I was felt, I was met. And that stays with him, not just in his memory, but in his body, in his breath, in the quiet hours when he's alone and wondering why no other experience has ever come close. So if you want to make him tremble, not just in his body, but in his soul, give him your presence. Drop the past, forget the future. Let the moment be enough. Because when you're fully there, you become more than a partner. You become an invitation to realness, to depth, to something beyond words. And that is what he'll crave, not just tonight, but always. In the end, what makes a man tremble isn't just the curve of your body or the heat of your skin. It's the presence of a woman who knows her own power and chooses to use it with grace. It's not about technique. It's not about perfection. It's about energy, intention, depth. It's about being a woman who isn't afraid to feel, who doesn't perform but invites, who doesn't chase validation but embodies value. When you hold eye contact like it's a vow, when your breath sets the rhythm of the moment, when your whispers carry truth instead of noise, when your touch reaches his face before his body, when you surrender with trust, not fear, and when you show up without a past to haunt you or a future to impress, you create something unforgettable, something that leaves a mark far beyond the bedroom. Because this isn't about sex, it's about soul. And when a man touches a woman who's fully in her power, fully in her softness, fully in her truth, it shakes him, not from lust. So don't shrink, don't hide, don't give your body without your essence. Be the woman who owns the moment before everything begins. And watch how that moment echoes inside him long after the night is over. That's not just how you make him tremble, that's how you make him remember.